So this is something that went a bit under the radar, guys, and I think it's definitely worth bringing to your attention. Now, this article published on CNBC on the 27th of February 2024 says that outages from cyber attack at United Health's Change Healthcare extend to 7th day as pharmacies deploy workarounds. Change Healthcare systems are down for the 7th straight day after a cyber threat actor gained access to its network last week. Parent company United Health Group said most US pharmacies have set up electronic workarounds to mitigate the impact. United Health discovered that a suspected nation-state associated threat actor breached part of Change Healthcare's information technology network on Wednesday, according to a filing with the US Securities and Exchange Commission on Thursday. Now, this is very interesting timing, guys, because remember, on Thursday, AT&T experienced outages. And of course, they came out straight away and said they weren't a cyber attack. And then they seeded the masses with the idea that it could have been the solar flares, even though the science does not support the solar flare excuse, because I've actually gone into all of the science behind the solar flares and how they occurred over the Asia Pacific. The US was actually on the nighttime side of the planet, and it happened hours later anyway, so they couldn't possibly have had any connection to these outages. And what's interesting is that AT&T came out and said that it was a process error and that's what caused the outages. But that doesn't explain why Verizon, T-Mobile and Cricket Wireless also experienced the outages. So it seems that something very interesting happened last week on Wednesday and Thursday. And United Health Change Healthcare, or the United Healthcare Group, are really not backwards about coming forwards, that it was an enemy of the US that actually caused this attack on this pharmacy group. They're literally saying that it was an enemy of the US. So, I mean, let's go through who it could have been. I mean, it could have been Russia, it could have been China, it could have been North Korea, it could have been Iran. I mean, the list goes on. And right around the same time, we've got AT&T basically saying that it wasn't a cyber attack, it was just a process error. But then all of these other outages were occurring as well. And as I said, it was definitely not a solar flare because the science just does not support that. So it just basically reiterates what I was saying in my video that was directed at the boomers and the Gen Xers who were mocking and ridiculing the millennials and Gen Zers who were having anxiety attacks about not being able to access their cell phone. And it shows them that they are very vulnerable because this was literally the healthcare system. So people on Wednesday last week that went to go and fill their script for their heart medication and their diabetes medication, and let's be honest, most of those people would have been boomers. Okay, probably a good 80% of the boomer population are probably on some form of pharmaceuticals. They wouldn't have been able to fill their scripts. And they're saying that the attack caused so much damage that they're still trying to mitigate this damage 7 days later. So I think it was a little bit of a shot over the bow, guys. And I just find it really interesting that nobody's really discussing this all over social media, but everyone's discussing this all over social media and trying to connect it to the solar flares. And as I said, I showed without a doubt that it couldn't possibly have been the solar flares because the solar flares occurred hours before this cellular outage started happening in the US. And when the solar flares occurred, it happened on the sunlit side of the planet, and the US was on the nighttime side of the planet, so they couldn't possibly have experienced any outages due to the solar flares, because it only affects the sunlight side of the planet. And this isn't just me saying this, guys. This is literally astrophysicists saying this. Okay, so go and look at those videos that I've uploaded, because it's literally, you know, showing you evidence that it couldn't possibly have been the solar flares that caused this outage. So anyone pushing this whole solar flares caused this outage, you really have to try and understand what their motivation could be, that they would push such disinformation, especially when they claim to be experts in solar weather and solar weather science, because the science literally doesn't support it. And if anybody can show me any differently, which they can't and which they haven't, then fine, I'm absolutely open to it. But I have shown using space weather science that it couldn't possibly have been the solar flares that caused this outage. So that's very interesting, guys, and I think it's something that we definitely need to pay attention to, as I also showed in last night's video in regards to the internet cables under the ocean. We're very vulnerable. They can cut those internet cables at any time. It's just a matter of timing, guys. So, you know, get your ducks in a row, get your shit sorted. Okay, now is the time. Okay, it's no good just watching these videos and looking at them with curiosity, but doing nothing and implementing nothing in your lives. You may as well go back to sleep with the rest of the sheeps. The reason you're awake and you're looking at this information is so that you can ready yourself for what's coming, because it's coming. The shit is coming down the line, guys. This was definitely a shot over the bow. And can you imagine if people can't access their pharmaceuticals, or if the healthcare system goes completely offline and you go show up at a hospital and they can't access your records, they can't access what pharmaceuticals you're on? I mean, how many 85-year-olds even know what pharmaceuticals they're on? They just rock up and fill out their script. They wouldn't know. And, you know, the whole system will just go into a meltdown. So anyway, I just did think it was very, very interesting that this happened right around the same time as the cell phone outages, and I just thought it was, you know, worth bringing to your attention. So heads up, guys, and I'll put these articles underneath the video for you to look in more detail. And as always, peace out.